Hi guys, welcome back to Annie Narrates, where we review stories that beautiful people like yourselves post on the internet. We got 3 stories for you today, so buckle up. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for calling out sister's boyfriend for potentially poisoning my boyfriend? A 21 female volunteered to cook the Christmas dinner for my family yesterday. My parents are getting older, so I would feel guilty sitting back whilst they did all the work. Also, we had the added complication of my partner, 32 male, being celiac. I'm used to cooking for us both and making sure everything is safe and gluten-free. Me and my family are also all veggie/vegan. My sister, 20 female, and her boyfriend, 21 male, have been dating a few months. He doesn't have a great relationship with his family, so we invited him to join us for the holidays. We'd not met him before this, so a couple of days before Christmas, my sister rang me, saying her boyfriend had been complaining about being forced to have meat/gluten-free dinner. I told her that he was more than welcome to bring something for himself and that I would be happy to cook it for him, but asked if he could please not bring anything with gluten in, as it could make my partner really ill. Anyway, cut to yesterday, and I cooked the duck he brought first and leave it to rest. Pretty much the whole time he was lurking over my shoulder, smirking, and making comments about how it must be weird to go back on my values. I told him that I didn't mind and that I used to cook some meat stuff for my partner before he went veggie, as long as he bought it with his own money. 10 minutes before I was about to plate up, the most stressful time, he comes back into the kitchen saying he's starving as the food's taken too long and wants to eat some of his duck. Obviously, I was a bit irritated as it was literally the worst timing, but said okay. He was about to leave the room when I saw that he'd put the duck in a small baguette. I asked where he got it from, and he said that he brought it with him. I panicked and flew around the kitchen, cleaning up all the crumbs he'd made and throwing away any food that wasn't covered. I was so stressed out and close to tears. My partner wasn't diagnosed with celiac disease until his late 20s, and his digestive system is in a bad way. His doctors have said the next gluten incident could put him in the hospital, with him possibly needing to have a stomach bag for the rest of his life. We finally sit down to dinner, and my family all thank me for cooking. My sister's boyfriend chimes in, saying that he helped cook. Well, I completely lost it. I told everyone that not only did he not help, he risked spiking my partner by bringing gluten into the kitchen. Everyone was horrified, especially my sister, who had no idea that he'd brought the bread. He refused to apologize and said that he didn't realize what the big deal was, which resulted in him getting chewed out by my mom and dad. He ate, excused himself, and holed up in my sister's room for the rest of the night. I feel like I might be the a-hole for blowing up at him in front of everyone, especially since he went home this morning, telling my sister that he didn't feel welcome here. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You were incredibly clear about gluten, and baguettes so obviously contain gluten. He knew that and did it deliberately. I also wonder if he has a bad relationship with his family because he behaves this way, or they are this way as well, and he doesn't like it, but dishes it out anyway. On top of that, he was just rude the entire time you were accommodating him and making snide comments. He clearly wasn't interested in being appreciative or accommodating. Your sister should break up with him. Not the a-hole. He sounds like a real jerk. No one quote-unquote forced him to have a gluten meat-free dinner. He accepted an invitation to a dinner at someone else's home, and that's what y'all were having. You had already gone above and beyond being accommodating by cooking his duck, and had no reason to tolerate him stealing your credit for cooking the meal, especially since it sounds like him getting crumbs everywhere caused you to have to throw out food that you just made. Ignoring your request not to bring gluten, since it could kill your significant other, shows that he's incredibly disrespectful of other people. Now the a-hole. You specifically asked not to bring anything gluten into your home. You also cooked a meat dish for him, even though it goes against your nutritional choices, which is more than I can say for a lot of vegans and vegetarians. He probably thought that it was just a big effing joke until you called him out on his BS. Now he wants to play victim? Nope, not gonna happen here. Your partner's health comes before his hurt feelings. Given his actions, there is probably a reason why he doesn't get along with his family either. Hi everyone, I just wanted to give an update. I hope that's okay, admins. Thank you all so much for your support and for the awards. It was really heartwarming to see many kind people in the comments. There's some good news and bad news. Good, that he is now my sister's ex. They had a huge blowout over the phone, where he admitted that he thinks dietary requirements are for attention seekers, and that vegans in particular are Nazis. He confessed that he's been secretly feeding my sister meat products, swapping fake meat nuggets for chicken, using meat stock instead of veg and so forth their whole relationship, and laughed that she's not been vegetarian for the past 5 months. She's been veggie since birth. We are all absolutely horrified, but so glad that he's shown his true colors early on in the relationship. My sister's doing okay. She's more angry than upset now, and we're all banding around her. She's relieved to know the stomach problems she's had recently are most likely down to the unfamiliar foods being introduced into the diet, rather than a medical problem. She was worried she might have early onset celiac after comparing her symptoms to my partner. For those asking why he isn't close to his family, it seems as though the a-hole doesn't fall far from the tree, as his parents sound pretty horrible, which is one of the reasons we all felt sorry for him initially. Anyway, thank you all so much again. It's minus 20 Celsius here in Vancouver and super snowy, so we're hiding indoors as a family. Wishing you all the very best. Wow, good for your sister. Celiac and vegetarian here. The boyfriend was an ass. Yeah, if you haven't eaten meat in a really long time, your body apparently stops being able to process those proteins, which means he really could have messed her up. I recently got some blood work done, just to see what my allergy and intolerances were, and unsurprisingly, it showed that my highest intolerances were for beef, salmon, chicken, and so forth. Also, to a slightly lesser degree, an intolerance to soy. So now I have to figure out my diet. I can't say I'm surprised. They're lurking around the kitchen, controlling vibes, sulking in his room. That was one very dangerous, very abusive person. It's good you confronted him. That led to him revealing his true colors. He definitely would have scaled it if she didn't get out now. I am vegetarian since birth, and my mouth dropped when you said that she was having stomach issues the whole time he was switching her food. This is such an invasion of boundaries, especially when it's been done against your will. Sending love to your partner and your sister, because this is one of my biggest fears. Some people are talking about how this is a symptom of her dating abusive men, but I totally understand why she doesn't want to date anyone who is not vegetarian or vegan. It's not a choice, and a lot of people don't understand that. The whole annoying vegan person has bred a bunch of people who hate vegetarians and stuff for reasons I don't get. Annoying vegans are annoying because they comment on other people's food habits. The solution should be to find someone who doesn't care about their food habits. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for bringing my boyfriend to my sister's wedding? I'm 29 male. Parents died when I was in elementary school, and an old family friend took me in. He's always treated me very well. My adopted siblings are awesome, and most people assume that we're blood related. My adopted mom has always hated me. She'll act neutral enough around her husband, but she completely tears me down, and she's always been like that. My siblings have always had my back 100% and have stood up to her when they could when they were younger. My adopted dad apologizes for her behavior, but it's been about 20 years and I pretty much ran out of the house as soon as I finished high school. I still showed up for holidays and major events. A few years later, when I came out as a bi to my family, my quote-unquote mom pretty much used this as a chance to disown me and just openly started insulting me and being nasty. My relationship with my siblings hasn't changed much. I video chat and talk to my siblings all the time, and visit about once a week since we live in different cities. They don't apologize for their mom's behavior, we just don't talk about her. My sister's wedding was small because of COVID. Just close family and friends. I was beyond happy that she was still getting some of her wedding and that she was happy. I brought my longtime best friend, now boyfriend of a few years. Everyone knows him. He's been in my life for the last 10 years, but we only started dating about a year ago. My sister warned me that her mom would be at the wedding, but she'd already told her to be on her best behavior and deal with it, or that she would be uninvited. Her mom promised to be on her good behavior. Fortunately, she held it together for the ceremony, but things went downhill at the reception, where she started a whole scene about me being there and sprinkled it with stuff about my boyfriend. It went from snide comments and insults to a full-blown argument. My dad managed to get her to calm down, and she disappeared for a while and came back later to just ignore me. But now the whole story made it to our wider family and acquaintances. Both extended families and pretty much everyone are blaming me for picking a fight with her. I didn't approach her at all. My brother is just generally angry because my sister was upset. Brother-in-law is less angry, but more worried about her. My dad is apologizing for his wife. I'm glad to have been there to see my sister get married, but I feel like I'd just ruin her big day by just being there and also bringing my boyfriend. He's not mad at my siblings, and he's been really understanding, if also pissed off at pretty much everyone else. Am I the a-hole for going to my sister's wedding and bringing my boyfriend despite her mom hating me? Edit. The quote-unquote find was her approaching me to insult me. My otherwise quiet boyfriend defending me, her insulting him as well, me arguing back with her. My brother storming over to shut it down, but she started to yell at him. More yelling from me, then finally the groom coming over to get her to relax. Her accusing me of coming because I don't like the groom. I don't. The start of his relationship with my sister was rocky. My brother and I begrudgingly accept him because he makes her happy. Then, my sister and my dad coming over to calm everyone down. My sister said that she was okay, and it wasn't my fault, but she'd been crying and hasn't talked to anyone but her husband so far. Not the a-hole. Your adoptive mom is. She escalated the situation, it sounds like. Don't let people who weren't there tell you how it should have happened. You didn't mention if your sister is upset or not. Have you talked to her about what happened? If your sister's mad at anyone, it's probably your mom, not you. Sorry this happened to you, OP. You are not the a-hole, but it was not about your boyfriend. Your mom would have found another excuse to fight with you. However, for your sister's sake, you could have de-escalated the situation. But sometimes, things happen, and it might just have gotten out of your hand anyway. From your post, it seems like your mom resents you because you were forced on her and her life. If what you're saying that your dad was indeed in love with your biomom is true, and he forced his wife to adopt your biomom's child, then it was already a recipe of disaster. No one should be forced to adopt someone they don't want. I see why your father can't stand up to her, because he wronged her. None of this is your fault though. However, you might want to keep your distance from your mom. Her dislike of you has escalated into homophobia, and trust me, even if you touch gold, then it will become dust for her. Live your life your way, and don't let her negativity affect you. You might want to reach out to your sister with a sincere apology. She's the one who suffered the most in this quarrel. Reply. Thank you. When I talked to my sister after everything to try to apologize, she said that she was okay and to not worry about it. She's a people pleaser and always tries to make everyone else happy. I tried to call her the following afternoon to actually apologize, but her phone was off. I called brother-in-law who said that she just needed a little room to calm down, but that she was fine and would talk to everyone when she was ready. I apologized to him too, and he was pretty neutral and more so worried about her than anything else. It's been just under a week since the wedding, so I am trying to not keep blowing up their phones. Not the a-hole. Your partner has been your best friend for 10 years. Everyone knows him. It seemed a foregone and welcome inclusion that he was coming to everyone. Your sister apparently even discussed it with her mother that she better be on her best behavior, which means they wanted him to come and expected him to come. You're not the a-hole for bringing him. The mother is for causing the scene. She obviously is a terrible person. Thanks everyone. Some people asked about my adoption. My dad pressured my mom into adopting me. He was friends with my birth parents before they died. Adoptive mom thinks that he was in love with my bio mom and had him take a paternity test before adopting me. It came back negative. They adopted me. My sister called me back a week after the wedding. She apologized for her mom causing a scene and asked if boyfriend and I were okay. I apologized for not immediately removing us from the situation when things went down. We both agreed that our mom would have likely still have caused a scene. She said she was overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted from the stress of replanning the wedding and the fight. She needed time to process and not be quote-unquote on. Brother-in-law was doting on her for a few days while she took time for herself. Some people said that sister was homophobic because she didn't defend me immediately or contact me right after the wedding. My sister is both the oldest sibling and the peacemaker in the family. She might as well be a saint with everything she puts up with between our mom's moods and our dad's handoff parenting and her younger brothers occasionally being idiots. She's the first person I came out to and my biggest supporter and defender. I never realized how much pressure my family puts on her to be the mature maternal figure until brother-in-law called me out. The angry extended family was a mix of homophobia and anger that they weren't important enough to be there. My brother said that their mom was telling people that I'm the one who started things because I hate brother-in-law, her, in-laws, and so forth, and a lot of other more dramatic details that didn't happen. It got bad enough that mother-in-law of all people called her a liar and came to my defense. Then, mom decided to throw father-in-law being a serial cheater into the argument, and now both extended families are flip-flopping sides. Normally, our dad would placate our mom and our sister would try to smooth everything over. She's pretty much hung out to dry on her own. Sister and brother-in-law have gone low contact with her mom. My dad apologized on her behalf to my sister and me. My brother is the only one still talking to her, but only through dad, who he feels bad for. We're all dodging the mess that is the fight between the in-laws. Boyfriend and I also discuss things. He's been incredible, and I'm going completely no contact with the adopted mom. Luckily, neither my dad nor my brother will give my mom my phone number, so she can't bother us. We never speak and only see each other roughly every 2 years, so it's not a loss. I'm not sure how I feel about my dad. I love and appreciate him for adopting me, but we are on shaky ground. That's pretty much it. Your sister does sound like a saint. It is absolutely stressful being the peacekeeper of the family. It sounds like your dad is punishing himself for something. Cheating maybe? That's why he's putting up with your adoptive mom's craziness. But if I were him, I'd be better off being alone than to live with that kind of treatment day in and day out. You did nothing wrong being there and bringing your boyfriend. It's totally your adoptive mom's issue. Reply: my sister is basically a saint. This whole thing made my brother and I realize how much she puts up with and how much we take her for granted. None of us can figure out why our parents are still together. It made sense when we were younger, but now we're all adults and he's still with her. But that's not a rabbit hole any of us feel like going down. Your parents' train wreck of a marriage is their business. Your adoptive dad took the paternity test to prove he hadn't had an affair, which it did, and yet she still comes up with every reason under the sun to hate you. She's a hateful person who probably has mental health issues. And you owe your sister a great gift for that nonsensical argument you participated in on a day that was supposed to be about her. Your dad is part of the problem. He needs to grow a backbone and make her stop. All this apologizing after the fact is useless because it doesn't stop his wife from her childish, toxic behavior. I am also so very sorry, OP, that you had to go through this as a child and still as an adult. I can't imagine having to deal with a mother like this. I am glad your siblings, especially your sister, are so supportive of you. Hopefully, if your dad will not stand up to your mom, your siblings will and give mom an ultimatum. Stop this, or all siblings will cut her out of their lives. Guys, if you're enjoying this video so far and you want to be an a-hole to the like button, when you're all gathered around the fireplace telling stories, keep interrupting them so they can tell their story. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for calling my wife a hypocrite for making our son do chores when he's sick, but not our daughter? Throwaway. Sorry for any mistakes, not my first language. My wife, 43, and I, 41, have 2 kids, a 16-year-old from a previous relationship of mine, and a 14-year-old daughter. My son has been living with us full-time since he was 4. To the current issue. My son has been suffering from cluster headaches for about 1 year now. They run in my family. He gets them every other month. Yesterday, he got hit by one again while I was at work and my wife was at home. When I got home in the afternoon, I found my son in the driveway carrying pots of plants inside. My wife loves everything that has to do with gardening and plants and regularly buys new ones, or rather attempting to do. He was visibly in pain, pale, moving slowly, the typical watery eye, and so forth. When I asked him what he was doing, he told me my wife had told him to help remove those, but I didn't think that he was in any condition to do so, and sent him inside and to bed. I got inside and confronted my wife with it, and she immediately got mad at me, saying it wasn't a big deal for him, and that she had him take one of his pills. They help, but it can only do so much. So I reminded her that she lets our daughter stay home from school for 2 days every month and frees her of any chores when she's on her period, and is essentially being a biased hypocrite. We argued for a while, and she said that I'm undermining her authority, but I insisted on leaving our son alone for the day and carried the plants inside myself, which I would have done anyway had she just waited for me. Just to clarify, I don't interfere with my wife keeping our daughter home when she's not well. If she says that's necessary, then it's fine with me. I am also not asking what is worse, but I don't think it was okay for her to make our son do this when he was in a lot of pain and basically grimacing with every movement. She also knows that he's not that great at standing up for himself. But am I the a-hole for that argument? Not the a-hole, but your wife is. Seems to me like her daughter gets special treatment over your son. I know both are your children. Either she is a sexist and thinks women are inferior to men, since the daughter doesn't have to do any chores because of her period, but your son has to do chores through cluster headaches. Or she has less respect for your son, since she didn't give birth to him. Not the a-hole. I would be more worried that your wife is prioritizing one over the other. Not the a-hole. You should probably investigate in what other ways your wife is actively abusive towards your son. Reply. Hey, thank you. I can't keep up with all the replies. This is wild. About my son and wife's relationship in the past. She's always been an important figure in his life, and it was very hard on him to quote-unquote lose his bio-mom so early. She got really sick shortly after his 4th birthday and has been unable to care for him since. My wife made an effort to be a good stepmom to him. However, she did get stricter on him as he became a teenager. Has experienced some bad stories about kids turning their backs on step-parents in her family. We talked about this a lot and even did counseling for a while, which helped the issue. That being said, I was caught off guard and extremely shocked when I heard that my wife had made him do while he was unwell. I'll definitely investigate now. We have a small vacation house. I'm thinking about taking him there for the weekend. I don't know. He usually tells me things. Hey everyone. I've been asked for an update on this. I've talked to my son and wife about the issue and made a decision. Wife. Asked her how exactly the whole thing happened. Said that she gave him a pill around noon when he started to feel bad. Then went out for a while and only called up to him if he could help when she got back. She didn't see him, so she thought that he was fine when he went out. She didn't see him, so she thought he was fine when he went out. I was shocked that she didn't check on him. She said she was sorry and wanted to apologize to him. Son, he's assured me that his stepmom hasn't made him work when he was sick before. This was the first time, and while I was glad about that, I dug a little deeper and asked him if he's ever felt less than his sister in the eyes of his stepmother. He admitted that he did start feeling this way as he became a teenager. Not when he was a child though, but he never told me about it. Nothing bad happened, so he didn't think he should mention his feelings. I was very shocked about this. We talk a lot normally, and told him that he needs to tell me things like that, even if they seem small in isolation. However, due to this dangerous lack of concern on my wife's side and my son's feelings, I decided that we will spend some time on my brother's to figure everything out. Son is sad about it, but he understands my decision. He's too good of a kid to be mistreated in any way, and I don't want him to learn that it's okay to ignore your well-being for other people. I'm very proud of his kindness, but I don't want to see it being abused, especially by my family. Thanks all. Edit. Since I got a lot of questions about this, we haven't moved out permanently. I only want to get some space between my wife and son. I've talked about this with my daughter, and she understands that there's issues between her mom and half-brother we need to solve and isn't sad about it. I'm glad you're standing up for your son, but did your wife take your daughter to the doctor about her pain yet? It is not normal to have so much pain you cannot go to school while on your period. The sooner they find the cause, the less lifelong pain your daughter will have. This type of pain typically gets worse, not better over time. If your wife won't take her, you should, even if it's for lady stuff. Quality of life matters for her. Dude, you're an awesome dad. I wish more people had parents like you. Alright guys, that was it for today's stories. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember to smash that like button for me and subscribe for more stories. Thanks again guys. We will be seeing you in the next one.